Tonight, the state budget has been handed down and we tell you what's in store for the Spencer Gulf. And a deal with Indonesia said to give local grain growers new avenues into their biggest wheat market.
This is Southern Cross News with Abby Donaldson.
Good evening. The Marshall government has unveiled its first budget since being elected to power in March. And there's some big ticket items coming our way in this region. John Hunt has more.
For the first time since 2001, a Liberal Treasurer today delivered the state budget. It was the same man in the hot seat as Rob Lucas laid down the priorities of the new state government. Already we've been given some idea of what's in store. The Premier has confirmed they'll honour Labor's $100 million commitment to build a new 7 to 12 public high school in Whyalla. And there's also another $500 million in education upgrades. Police, teaching and other essential staff have been quarantined from an expected slashing of 4,000 jobs from the public service. Port Augusta's Joy Baluch Bridge will also be duplicated. And the bottleneck at Port Wakefield is set to be reduced, with the Commonwealth and state government spending $90 million on duplicating the road and building an overpass for traffic coming from the York Peninsula. Today's announcements were mixed for the region. The Regional Growth Fund has been boosted to the tune of $150 million over 10 years. TAFE campuses in Roxby Downs and Coober Pedy are set to be shut as part of a rationalisation process. Housing trust rents are also going up in bedsit and one cottage flats. It's also bad news for election commitments, with Labor's plans for a sport complex in Whyalla believed to have been dropped. And the mining sector will see grant funding slashed, while a proposed royalty reduction will be axed. So with the figures laid out, it's now time for this new government to sell their direction. As for the regions, it remains to be seen how this will work out in the long term. We'll dig into that tomorrow night, as Southern Cross News will have further analysis on what this document means for the region.
Bids for oil and gas drilling in the Great Australian Bight have been dealt a heavy blow, with the Port Lincoln City Council voting to formally oppose drilling in the region. The motion was passed by a close vote last night. It comes just weeks after a similar council motion to ban oil and gas exploration had been defeated. Some councillors are concerned the town's respected fishing and tourism industries could be impacted by gas and oil drilling. Labor has accused the New South Wales government of approving a company's unauthorised dams in the Barwon-Darling River system. The state opposition says the retrospectively approved works shows the government's support for irrigators and not the law.
Once unauthorised, now approved.
In the last year, the Nationals have been organised enough to provide retrospective authorisation of works before they've been organised enough to undertake proper investigations, or if there is a need, prosecutions.
In April this year, 2 cotton farms near Burke received retrospective approval for works from Water New South Wales. It was for water channels and dams with a combined storage capacity of 50,000 megalitres. The channels connect dams to the Barwon-Darling River. Labor has criticised State Water Minister Niall Blair for not knowing any details about the approval.
The only way in which you are going to restore trust in the rule of law when it comes to issues like prosecuting water theft or providing retrospective authorisations is to do it publicly and do it transparently.
But the state's water operator, Water New South Wales, has hit back at Labor's claims.
Really, at that level, it isn't a matter for the minister. These structures didn't require approval when they were constructed, as is the case on many farms, as you could possibly imagine. The landowner or the owner of these structures voluntarily took the option of having them assessed by Water New South Wales. They were found to meet the criteria and approved this year.
Water New South Wales also says the approvals were not that secret.
Public notices were published in regional media in early February outlining the details of these applications and including a 28-day period during which the public could submit any objections. No objections were received.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
The Australian Free Trade Agreement with Indonesia is set to give local grain growers new avenues into their biggest wheat market. The new deal will see Aussie farmers gain exclusive rights to Indonesian grain markets.
The ink still might be drying on the newly signed Australian-Indonesian Free Trade Agreement, but grain growers from across the Spencer Gulf can already expect to reap the benefits of the deal.
So what the Indonesia trade agreement with Australia has allowed is for Australia to be the only country around the world to be able to export feed grains to Indonesia.
The Free Trade Agreement is a welcomed Christmas present for farmers on the road to recovery from drought.
And I'm a grain grower and we're hay producers and livestock producers, but being such a close neighbour, it's got to be good for us.
The member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, believes the deal will have positive outcomes.
I think our grains will go better in Indonesia. I think we'll see an increase in legumes.
It's hoped the agreement will further expand the milling wheat market into Southeast Asia and will give local farmers an opportunity to grow.
We'll strengthen the existing ties that we have with Indonesia across our milling wheat trade, and again, that will support ongoing exports of South Australian milling wheat.
Dominic Beaton, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, a Port Augusta sculpture exhibition taking inspiration from the region's renewable energy landscape. Now to part 2 of our special interview with Whyalla Steelworks owner Sanjeev Gupta. He talks with John Hunt about the future of the steelworks and the city itself.
When you took over, there was a loss-making environment. How is that sitting at the moment in terms of addressing that loss?
Whyalla continues to be this plant has not been invested in for decades. It's a small plant, subscale, underinvested. I mean, the rolling mill, for example, is I think almost 60 years old. So there is one of the oldest plants in the world. So it is a challenge for sure, and you have to do what you can to reduce the bleed or to eliminate the bleed. So there has been significant investments gone into lots of little projects.
What we're looking at to make it low cost? It's
not been signed off yet, but I believe that there is no better way of making steel, no cheaper way, especially at scale compared to blast furnaces. So we're still talking about blast furnaces. It's not new technology in the sense that it's not like a new way of making steel, but it's evolved.
Is there a time frame on when people are going to see the other plans about what you're planning to do for this steelwork?
The target is to finalise that still this year and to announce it. It's done. There's thousands and thousands of man hours already gone into it, and we're at a point where we're almost concluded on what and how it's going to be done.
When can Whyalla residents start to see a little bit of progress from them?
We will motivate, sponsor, support. We want to see Whyalla prosper and grow, but we're not looking to turn that into a business. Our business is in industry.
When you launched your ambitious 1 gigawatt solar project, was that a watershed?
It was the first major step. Let's say we'll start construction by December, January. So that project is the first major step in terms of the future of Whyalla. So it was, while there's been significant investment already in terms of taking a proper leap forward, that is the first step.
Have you managed to do a bit of sightseeing? I think the word would be a little bit of personal time to have a look around the area.
We've got a long list of places we want to go to, but we haven't quite got around to doing that. But one of the ambitions is that before we leave Australia, we want to see more of the country. So it's definitely a target.
Communities in Broken Hill South will soon get to see upgrades to Paddon Park. Council awarded 2 tenders for the park project at its recent meeting following extensive consultation with locals. The playground and toilet block tenders have both been awarded at a combined cost of just over $500,000. The Port Augusta Relay for Life has thanked the community for their generous donations towards its fundraising goal of $30,000. Donations have just exceeded the $10,000 mark, and organisers are expecting that number to jump even higher as they ramp up preparations for next month's Relay for Life event. Organisers say there's still time to register. For more information, visit the Port Augusta Relay for Life Facebook page. Locals are being encouraged to check out the newest sculpture creations at the Arid Lands Botanic Gardens in Port Augusta. The exhibition features artists from all over the state, with the works taking inspiration from the region's renewable energy landscape.
Nestled between the wildlife and natural flora, there are some new creatures and creations popping up around the Arid Lands Botanic Gardens.
So my work is like little imaginary characters sprouting out of the ground as though the ground is inspiring them.
These artworks are part of the biennial Arid Sculpture exhibition, which features work from 13 artists across the state. Some budding local artists are confident they can compete against the adults for the $2,500 first prize.
My artwork level is like way higher than most kids my age, so I thought it's like, well, I have a pretty good chance.
Ryan using his entry to comment on a controversial local issue.
So I thought, like, get the message out there, like, protest against it.
Limestone, woodwork and recycled bottle caps are some of the materials of choice to build the sculptures, which are all inspired by the theme Powered by Nature. Project manager of the Lincoln Gap Wind Farm, Ben Williams, has been handed the judging duties, and he says he can't wait to see what the artists have created.
I have heard there is a wind turbine out there, so I'm looking forward to seeing that because we are building a wind farm. But yeah, I'll be interested to see the concepts that everyone's come up with.
The sculpture exhibition is now open and will run until early next month. People are encouraged to visit the newest inhabitants of the garden and cast their vote for the People's Choice Awards. Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us after the break. The best and fairest awarded in local footy.
And spring is well and truly underway across the region. I'll have all the details soon.
South Whyala's Joel Howard-Bristow has been crowned the best Whyalla footballer this season. He took out the Whyalla News medal by 3 votes last night. The Demons player was recognised for his ability to play across a number of key positions. After a slow start, he came home with a wet sail polling in a majority of matches after the halfway mark of the season.
I was down by, I think it was about 5 votes. I thought I was out of it, but yeah, no, come back and stormed home.
It's the 3rd year in a row a South Whyalla player has won the medal. The win is bittersweet though, with the team heartbreakingly eliminated from the finals by a point on the weekend. While the Northern Areas Football Association kicked off their annual presentation last night as well, dominant Crystal Brook midfielder Campbell Combe won the male medal for the 3rd year in a row. Combe sealed his win with 33 votes, while runner-up Joel Palmer from Southern Flinders finished with 25. Damien Stafford from Southern Flinders was the B-grade medalist winner with a total of 18 votes. To local sport now, in Broken Hill, A-grade tennis is in full swing with some tight matches being played in the recent round. Patrick Reinke joins me now from the local courts. And Pat, it's looking like a strong competition this season.
That's right, Abby. We've only played 2 rounds of the spring tennis season, but it's been action-packed so far. The most recent round saw 3 matches decided by just a few games each. The other game was a bit of a whitewash though. Kyron Slee and Andrew Malloy of the Volleys continued their run of good form, beating forehands 4-zip. Swallows beat backhands 2 sets 24 to 2 sets 19. My side topspins fell short once again, losing to drop shots by 4 games, and Smashers managed to narrowly beat serves by 3. To Broken Hill Soccer now, and West thumped Celtic off the sport page and into the obituaries with a 7-1 drubbing. Jordan Cox is on track to win the Golden Boot. He found the back of the net 6 times. In the other game, St Joe's produced a quality team effort to beat Alma 4-0. Port Lincoln Soccer returned over the weekend. South Coast beat Seacole Masters with a second-half strike from Anthony Duns. The second match saw Lincoln City Raiders smash Lincoln Knights 9-1. In Whyalla netball, congratulations to Kiwi on winning the A-grade premiership. In Port Lincoln, Wayback are through to the grand final after beating Imperial. Imperial will face Warnilla Rangers in this weekend's prelim. And in Port Augusta, Vikings are through to the grand final after beating St Joseph's. They will face Railways. And local footy continued over the weekend. In Whyalla, heartbreak for South after they lost the elimination final to Wiruna Bay by just 1 point. Wiruna now plays North in the prelim. In Port Lincoln, Tasman beat Mallee Park in the first semi. In the northern areas, Crystal Brook had it easy over Orroroo. And in the Great Flinders, United Yelana clinched a grand final berth with a win over Tumby Bay. So Abby, that does it for another week of local sport. And if you want your sports results on Southern Cross News, send them through to localsport@sca.com.au.
Thanks, Pat. And time now to see what the weather's looking like with Amy.
Thanks, Abby. Well, the sun was shining across the Spencer Gulf today, a top of 20 in Port Augusta, a slightly warmer 21 for Whyalla and Port Pirie. Meanwhile, Port Lincoln and Broken Hill sat at 19 degrees. And a big thank you to Jason MacArthur, who sent in this gorgeous sunset from O'Leary. We absolutely love seeing all your weather photos, so if you have one you'd like to send in, you can email it to localnews@sca.com.au. Checking the satellite now, and there are areas of cloud in the south and east with unstable onshore winds, which are generating a few light showers. Skies are clearer further north under a building ridge of high pressure combined with dry air mass. If you're heading out on the waters tomorrow, northerly winds will shift northeasterly up to 25 knots with seas reaching 1.5 metres. Sunrise is at 6:35 while it will be setting at 3 minutes past 6. The chance of a few showers and windy conditions across the districts tomorrow. Port Lincoln seeing a change in conditions with a top of 20. Cloudy for Whyalla and 23 degrees. However, it will be a fine 24 for Port Augusta and Corn. Looking into the weekend, and despite the chance of a few showers, conditions should fine up around Port Lincoln by Saturday. Cleve could see some windy and rainy weather. However, by the end of the week, the fine days will return. Meanwhile, Woodna has a run of mostly sunny days coming up. Despite some cloudy skies in Whyalla, Saturday should bring a fine 24 degrees to kick off the weekend. Spring temperatures will also settle in around Port Augusta with a lovely 25 predicted. And in Kadina, winds should settle later this week. Port Pirie is finding up to 23 by the start of the weekend, with maximums in Clare also rising to 18 degrees for Saturday. And in Broken Hill, it's set to be sunny with maximums between 19 and 23 degrees over the next few days. So it looks as though we've got some lovely spring weather coming up.
And that's all from the team this Tuesday. I'm Abby Donaldson. Enjoy your evening. Good night.